Friends, on behalf of Maritatle Foundation, we extend a very hearty welcome. And as you know, that on 1st of February, the budget has been announced for 2023-24. So we thought that as an uh, informed citizen of the country, we should know what does the budget contain for us. May not be as a senior citizen, but in public at large. So we thought that we would have a session on the budget simplified. The name is budget simplified, not the budget explained, because the idea is that many of us may not know the basic terms. So we thought that we will have a basic introduction to the budget and then what could be the possible implication of this particular budget. Now, to talk on this particular topic, I have with me a very close colleague of mine, R Kannan. He is a very known economist. He had a very checkered career. He worked in ICICI Bank in various positions. He was in a very serious position. And his last assignment was to be the head of corporate performance group in the Hinduja group. At a very, very senior position, retired. And Professor R Kannan is also teaching at the various leading management institutions all across the country. So we are thankful to R Kannan that he has been with us. Kannan, the floor is open to you.
Yeah. So thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Uh, Greetings to all of you. In fact, I wanted to regret the hiccup in the beginning. And budget, about this budget, sir wanted me to say how this is being prepared and go into what is there for senior citizens. So I will start with the government budget. It's like, I don't know, many of us those days, I remember we used to make a budget at home. If I was getting 10,000 salary, then how we are going to spend it. I can tell you, on average middle class, we see 30% is a savings. But in the case of government budget, actually, their expenditure exceeds the saving collections. So that is the only difference. So it's an annual financial, we used to do monthly, but here they do annually, annual financial statement. It depicts itemized, approximates the expected revenue and foreseen expenditure during a fiscal year. As we are all aware, India is a very complex country with many states. And many a times what happens is that it will be very, very difficult to accurately predict what is the revenue and what is the expense. But I can tell you the last 3 years, if Indian economy has done very well, one of the main reasons is that government was able to collect more taxes than, I don't know what they expected. Sorry, it also helps them to support various social schemes like supporting 80 crore poor through ration. I think they extended it for another year. So all that was possible because they saw a very big buoyancy in tax. The main reason for buoyancy in tax is that they used the IT in a very big way, and also they are very, very strict in collecting the taxes. So the government can bring in through this budget, the government can bring in economic stability, control fluctuation, general cost price via taxes, subsidies, and expenditure. So one of the main issues as far as we individuals are concerned is inflation. So inflation actually, it is influenced by two factors, demand and supply. So whenever there is a big demand for products, the prices go up, and whenever supply of goods are there, the prices go down. So what we saw, and of course one more thing is that depending on the availability of money in the system, liquidity in the economy, also the inflation is affected. That is why RBI, their main objective is to manage the inflation between. Earlier, they used to have a single number. Now, RBI operates within a range of 2 to 6%, and RBI says that we want to manage inflation. So, but what we saw, why inflation continued to be very high, despite many of the RBI measures in the recent past, that was due to supply constraints. So that is mainly one of the instruments through which supply can be managed is through fiscal policy. Uh, so, so then one more thing is when there is inflation, the government can reduce its expenditure. In fact, this year budget, if we see, even though they have shown a tax increase of only 10%, my guess is that it will be more than 15%, not 10. They understated it, and they have under quoted the expenditure in many areas. And when there is deflation, a government can reduce taxes and give subsidies to encourage spending by the people. People always talk about recession, and according to experts, economists, in 2 quarters, if there is a negative economic growth, then that is called recession. So, and world over, if you see today, there is a big fear. In fact, World Bank has released a report about a month and a half back on recession and inflation. And I think 4 5 days back, Goldman Sachs has released a report on inflation. So they expect that most of the developed economies, they are likely to face a recession this year. Fortunately, India, as I was telling you, one, we have a large domestic economy, domestic consumption is very high. Second, it was well supported by the government expenditure. Mainly, we will see capital expenditure. So government has chipped in with a lot of capital expenditure, despite there is a slowdown in the capital expenditure by private sector. And how the budget is made? Generally, as you're all aware, if it is presented on 1st Feb, they started the preparations 6 months ago. So it is in consultation with Niti Aayog. Why Niti Aayog? Niti Aayog is a nodal agency which closely interacts and monitors the state economies. So Niti Aayog people very closely interact with the states, each state, and they also see what is happening there. So they have a lot of inputs to give. And other concerned ministries, of course, every ministry is involved in preparing the budget. There is some allocation for each ministry. Then budget department of the Department of Economic Affairs in the Finance Ministry, so nodal body responsible for producing the budget. So we have Secretary Finance, we have Secretary uh, uh, Revenue, then we have Secretary Department of Economic Affairs. So the budget making process starts in August, September, 6 months prior. It involves stages that include the issuance of circulars to all ministries, consultations to proposals received, allocation of revenues, and pre-budget meetings. It should read as pre-budget meetings. I can tell you, in the last few years, especially after liberalization, earlier budget making was mainly by government. Slowly, government felt that the people who are going to be affected by the budget are common man, industries, etc. So they hold various meetings with various stakeholder groups. There is a meeting with the leading economists in India. There is a meeting with the leading industry associations in India. Now there is a meeting with social organizations. So like that, they would like to take the input of all the stakeholders. So the budget is going to affect all segments of the society. So I can also tell you most of the proposals we find in budget, I can tell you 75% of them actually has come from stakeholder groups, not from government. So only thing they might tweak it. Somebody says that you give me a subsidy of 1,000 crores. So they might say that no, it is not 1,000, it is 500. So they find their voice being reflected in the budget. Later, the finance minister and other officials participate. 2 years they are not prepared that halwa ceremony. So they make a halwa, which marks the process of printing documents for the budget. But this year, as you are aware, they wanted to go e-way. So most of the documents, they are not printed too many copies, unlike in the other years. So it is mostly digital. And finally, the budget is presented in the Lok Sabha. So what is the objectives of the government budget? Reallocation of resource. For example, this year, we said that still there are no signs of private capex picking up. So in the last 4-5 years, we find the component of capital budget is increasing in the total budget. So even in a company budgeting process, there is a reallocation. Suppose a new business is started, then the company will give more money to that. So now we find that there are allocations for green related projects. There are allocations for digital related projects. So depending on the need, emerging need, the new areas are identified. This is true for companies also. Where if any company has to grow, they have to get into new areas. And the proportion allocated to various sectors also go through a change. Of course, people always say that our education and health, the percentage remains same. But what we find this year, the government said they will spend 10 lakh crores on capital budget. Imagine it was not even 5 lakh crores about 4-5 years ago. So which means the allocation is based on what is going to work, what is going to give the growth. So that is reallocation of resource. The allowance or tax concession. Again, this tax as an instrument, it is supposed to help people to make new investments. It is supposed to help people to save money. And this tax concession is supposed to create new areas for growth. As we are all aware, the government announced that any company registering, I think now it has been extended up to 2025. So they can follow a depreciation which is much lower than the normal books of depreciation, which means they want companies to new units, new manufacturing units to come up. So India's component and manufacturing in the world is still very low. In direct production of goods and services, that is other reason. Of course, now we are going in the opposite direction, where we are expecting whatever is being produced by government to be produced by private sector. Minimize inequalities in income and wealth. I can tell you, if you see the poverty, people below poverty, in the last 10 years, it has come down substantially. And one more good thing, why people are happy with the government? All these 80 crore people who are very poor, they are given free food. And apart from that, we all know there are farmers also, they are getting every month money. So like that, and of course, thanks to these Jandan accounts, most of the money earlier, people used to say that 70-80% of the money towards the schemes did not reach the beneficiaries. Even now there must be leakage, but it must be much less. So this budget, while preparing the budget, now that they said that they extended the Anodya scheme by another 1 year, which means these 80 crore people, ideally there should not be a beggar. So all of them should be covered by this scheme. So, but one thing you remember, in a growing economy, you go to any economy in the world, the inequality between rich and poor always goes up. That is a nature. That is a nature. What is essential is that whether a citizen is getting all the essential goods for living. That is more important than the Gini index and all they talk about. So I will not subscribe to that. My subscription is that as far as many people are living comfortably, that is more of a good measure. Then economic stability, we all know, talk about budget deficit and all. As I was telling you, the government always spends more money than what it collects. So it has to spend the money very carefully. And whatever money which they require, then they have to borrow. They borrow from, of course, RBI, which means RBI has to print that much of notes. And if you print too many notes, it will lead to higher inflation. So if you want a economic stability, the budget should be prepared in such a way that it should not have very high fiscal deficit, and it should be more balanced. If you have positive also, that is also bad for the economy, because then the goods in the economy become uncompetitive for export. In managing public enterprise, we know that you take at least 5 sectors. The largest companies in the sector are government, transportation is railways, power is National Thermal Power Corporation, mining is Coal India, oil is Indian Oil. So if you see, most of the large enterprises are still in public sector. So the budget also looks at how to manage these enterprises. In fact, they have become one of the sources of revenue for government in the recent past by paying good dividends. Then economic growth, there is always a debate whether countries should go after growth or they should manage inflation. According to me, all these interest rate rises by US and UK, they should have stopped long ago. They are really hurting the growth. Whenever an economy is growing, everybody in the economy is going to be prosperous. Even a poorer man, he gets more than what he would have got. So growth is very, very important. Fortunately, among all the major economies in the world, of course, there are economies growing at 16%, 20%. Among all the major economies in the world, India continues to grow at a good rate. Now they are saying that it could grow at 7% also. So that way we have managed it very well. Then decrease regional differences. One good thing is that through this budget, we know that there are allocations for Northeast, Jammu and Kashmir, then the areas where they are backward, there are more allocations in these areas. So the budget is supposed to take care of all this. Components, there are, I will not elaborate too much. Capital budget, it's all about acquisition of assets and having liabilities. And capital expenditure, we are spending on infrastructure, ports, airports, power, transmission lines, etc. And revenue budget comprises all the expenditure met through revenue and about the revenue receipt. All the sources that bring revenue to government are accountable under the revenue budget. Madam has identified 7 priority areas. Of course, whenever you prepare a plan, you prepare a strategy, you have to identify some focus areas. One is green growth. I can tell you the top 3, 4 corporates in India, they really set a very big ambition towards developing green energy in India. If these 3, 4, I can tell you industry growth and economic growth depends on the investment appetite of entrepreneurs in the country. It's more than government spending money. It is the entrepreneurs who are going to invest. So that is where this budget is supposed to create an environment for new investment. Then youth power. People always say that we have a demographic dividend. And of course, they also say that we have to find productive jobs for this youth unless it will become a demographic disaster. So what under this scheme, government has identified collaboration with various stakeholders, including industry, to find fruitful employment for youth and find fruitful entrepreneurial opportunities for youth. Inclusive development, I can tell you in the last 5-6 years, statistics rolled out by Madam, we saw the 9 crore free gas connections, 48 lakh Jandan accounts. So they talked about how many new toilets, how many new water connections. And of course, right now the broadband is available, I believe, out of 6 lakh villages through Bharat broadband net, part of BSNL. It's available more than 100,000, but the objective of government is to take it to all villages. So inclusive development means you want everybody to grow. So there is a lot of emphasis on MSME. And I believe there are statistics released by Madam where they are talking about self-help groups. I think there is a scheme for self-help groups by seniors also. But generally, the self-help groups are very popular in South India. Initially, it was in Andhra Pradesh, but of course, now it is all over India. Self-help groups where 20 people, 40 people coming together and they create an enterprise. Then reaching the last mile, I can tell you 7 years ago, India's rank in data consumption was 155 in the world. 3 years ago, India's rank in data consumption became number 1 in the world, thanks to Reliance Jio, which made data very cheap. Now people say data is oil. So if all these people talk about Aadhaar, Jandan, etc., etc., all that was possible thanks to cheap digital infrastructure and high penetration of mobiles in the country. Yeah. So the reaching the last mile is very, very important. not only in terms of telecom, you all know that if trade has to develop also, there has to be roads, railways, etc. So even reaching the rural areas. So that is other objective. Infrastructure investment we have seen. Of course, this year they have mentioned so many new airports will be created, and many airports will be privatized, ports will be privatized, and infrastructure, power. There is a big ambition in terms of green power. So these are the areas which are going to take a lot of investment. Unleashing the potential. Now our chief economic advisor, he said that people are saying India will grow at 6.5, etc. But he says there is a digital infrastructure we have. Our GDP can be higher by 0.5%. The UPI and all, it will become a model for the entire world. In fact, India is number one in terms of electronic transactions in the world. Number two is China, whose transactions are only 15% of India, and US is way behind third. So in fact, our adoption of electronic transfers, India is a leader in the world today. And launch of digital platforms, and we have seen already, I think it's called YNDA, I think. So government itself has created a platform for e-commerce where it said that the companies which want to come and trade, they can join the platform. I heard some of the multinationals also saying that they'll join the platform. And so government is planning. Already you know that they have removed some 39,000 procedures. So all that is possible only if you create platforms for various purposes. For example, SME funding, SME collections. 2-3 years ago, government has created a platform. And for Khadi and village products, they created a platform. So these are priority areas for the government. Now I'll run through fast. If you see in terms of revenue, the government this year is likely to collect 23.5 lakh crores total collection. And it is shared higher than the previous year by 1.5 lakh crores only. It's almost 7-8% increase. But next year, they are planning to collect 26.32 lakh crores next year. So that is about 2.8 lakh crores. That is what they are planning to collect. Then in terms of capital receipts, which they collect in the form of two types of revenues. I was telling you, whenever they collect through taxes, through charges, through fees, etc., that is revenue. Whenever they raise money through debt and World Bank giving money, Asian Development Bank giving money, and raising funds for new projects through loans, those are all capital. Expenditure, revenue expenditure, if you see, this year it was almost 11 lakh crores more. Yeah, collection was 23.48 lakh crores. Revenue was 34.58 lakh crores, 11 lakh crores more. But next year, you see there is a compression. They are not increasing the expenditure much. They are increasing the expenditure only by 42,000 crores, whereas revenue will go by 2.95 lakh crores. So the government expects net 2.5 lakh crores collection next year compared to this year. Similarly, capital expenditure, like I was telling you, they are planning to spend 10 lakh crores. This is a very big jump compared to previous year. And of course, as I was telling you, the economic growth comes from three areas. One is the personal and company consumption. Second is investments. Yeah. Second is through investments. Third is through infrastructure. So these are three components of economic growth. So as you are aware, every infrastructure project, it has a lot of cascading effect, which will create demand in more than 250 industries. Will create lots of jobs. In fact, I was reading, I think in the economic report, they were saying this battery ecosystem itself, the electric vehicle ecosystem, that itself is likely to create 5 crore jobs. You remember IT so far in India, after so many years of development, we have employed only 50 lakh people directly. And of course, you can multiply it by 4 times. So there are other supporting sectors like tourism, travel, accommodation, etc. So maybe 2 crore people are relating to IT industry. Whereas they are saying electric vehicle ecosystem can create 5 crore jobs. But I don't know. I don't agree with the estimate, but it's very, very optimistic. And over the years, if you see, I will not elaborate too much. The fiscal deficit, that is one area which I was telling you, which will make the economy stable or not. Fiscal deficit this year is 17.55 lakh crores, 6.4% of the economy, GDP. Whereas next year, I was telling you they are planning to collect more money, but they will spend less. So the fiscal deficit will go up by only 22 lakh crores, 32 lakh crores, and percentage of GDP will be 5.9%. If you see the total budget size, what is the size of the budget, including all revenues? In F23 last year, F22, it was 37.94 lakh crores. This year, ending March, it is 41.87 lakh crores. Almost 2.42 crores, 42 lakh crores more. So next time you just see there is a big increase. Yeah, there is almost 3.20 lakh crores higher. So whenever you spend more money, obviously it will lead to higher GDP. And one more thing, GST, even before introduction, I was speaking about it. GST government was always targeting, right from day one, a collection of 1.4 lakh crores. You will not believe till 5-6 months ago, it was always, it started with 70,000-80,000 crores. Where 1.3 crore enterprises were registered, but only 70-80 lakh were paying. Now in the last 4-5 months, it has really crossed 1.4 lakh. Now it is around 1.5, 1.6. That's one more reason why tax collections are very good. Coming to senior schemes. So the new tax regime, all of you must have gone through in detail. This is a new tax regime slabs for seniors, ITR filing. and this old tax regime. And senior citizen saving schemes. This is one good thing which they have done. Earlier under the scheme, uh, a senior can invest only 15 lakhs maximum for 5 years in a postal deposit. And the interest rate is revised every quarter. So they just revised the interest rate. I'll show you the interest rates. In the month of January, 8%. Now, one good thing what has happened was, they increased that 15 lakh crores to 30 lakh crores, double the amount. So 8% means you take 8% means 2,40,000, 2,40,000 for the whole year, and 20,000 per month. So they are planning to give 20,000 per month under this scheme. Then we know SBI, this postal office, there is a scheme where you can invest 4.5 lakh in a single account. That has been enhanced to 9 lakhs. And husband and wife can invest 9 lakhs. Now it has been enhanced to 15 lakhs. So whoever has got, I think some of these schemes you have to invest before 31st March. I'm not sure. Some 4-5 schemes you have to invest before 31st March. So you please find out which schemes are to be invested before 31st March. And these are all non-taxable. Yeah. Then we know that most of us have got a lot of gold, and especially seniors, we must be holding a lot of gold, which you said that you wanted to save it for later. And they are saying that the physical gold which we are holding, if we can convert it into electronic gold receipt and vice versa as transfer, and there will not be any capital gains tax. Right now, I think if you transfer gold into gold receipt, it attracts a capital gains tax depending on at which price you have invested and which price you are transferring. Just give me a minute. चेंज करो, बाद में देखो अच्छा काम है नहीं है देखो. हाँ, sorry. So this is the official memorandum. I want to read it for you. Rates of interest. In fact, this year the government is planning to raise more money from this small savings, and most of the investors in small savings are seniors. So 1 year term deposit, they have increased it from 5.5 to 6.6. This is in the beginning of January itself. 2-year deposit 5.7 to 6.8. 3-year deposit 5.8 to 6.9. 5-year deposit 6.7 to 7. 5-year recurring deposit 5.8. Same. Senior citizen savings scheme right now, as I told you, 8%. Yeah. So if you invest now at 8%, till the end of the period, you will get 8%. And monthly income account scheme, that is, I think, that post office, they increased from 6.7 to 7.2. National savings certificate 6.8 to 7. Public provident fund, same 7.1, very low. Kisan Vikas 7 to 7.2. And Sukanya Samriddhi account scheme 7.6. I can tell you, I believe among all the banks, of course, I am leaving out the small banks. There are banks giving 9% also, but we don't know whether deposit will be safe. I believe HDFC Bank gives seniors. I was reading somewhere. They might get a maximum of 8.25% if you invest, which is higher than all these rates. And of course, one more scheme, of course, now NBFCs also started giving higher rates, but they are risky. Shriram Transport, I think the yield is 9.2% yield if you invest for 3 years or 4 years. And there is a government body called Tamil Nadu Power Finance, where seniors, you will get a monthly income. 5 years if you put, every month 8.75%. But it is a NBFC, government NBFC. So the only guarantee is that it is a government one. And the senior citizen scheme integrated program for older people. This is one scheme operated by government under which there are concessions available for setting up senior homes. Now they included CSR also. Company CSR funds can be used to set up old homes. And Pradhan Mantri Surakshana Bima Yojana. I will explain some of them. Atal Pension Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Vaya Vandana Scheme, Indira Gandhi National Old Pension Scheme, under which they give 200 per month. If you are above 80, 500 they give. Higher medical premium compared to normal. And of course, every bank, they give a 50 basis points higher interest than FDs. And I believe in passport, if you want a passport or you want to renew a passport, you need not take appointment and all. You can directly walk into the passport kendra and they will do it. And bank loan, if you are a pensioner, they will give 50 times the pension. I will just elaborate 4-5 schemes, then I'll end my speech. Rashtriya Ayoshri Yojana is designed for people below poverty line, and they have to benefit. They have to show a BPL card. Entire scheme is funded by central sector. It gives physical aid to senior citizens, which are required for their sustainability. Annuity plans by LIC. So the scheme by LIC where even after retirement you can get a same amount. I think now this has been introduced by other insurance companies also. I don't know after budget they are operating or not, but like ICC Prudential, HDFC Life, you put 15 lakhs single premium, every month you get 7 or 8,000. So that is like annuity plan. You put the money, then you get fixed sum. So when an individual reaches a retirement age, substantial pay cut comes along. So after becoming aware of the problem of senior citizens, the government is partnered with various insurance companies to resolve the problem. LIC compensates for the salary of the retired person with guaranteed amounts every month to meet their financial needs. The Varishta Pension Bima Yojana offered by the LIC also provides a pension to the country's senior citizens. So this is one plan operated by LIC. Some of you might have availed it. Like I said, if any of you want a fixed amount of payment, now I think now they must increase the rate also. ICC Prudential, HDFC Life, you can check. when the last 6 months interest rates have gone up, so maybe the payment from them also must have gone up. Pradhan Mantri via Vandana Yojana, it's another annuity plan. This policy term is 10 years and minimum pension is 3,000. Maximum pension is 10,000. And the policy can also have an interest of 8% per annum. And pensioner can choose the frequency of the payment. So this is for people above 60. National program for healthcare of the elderly promotes a preventive case scenario for senior citizens in order to provide free or highly subsidized services to senior citizens. Various community centers such as community health centers along with primary health centers and sub-centers were established. Varishta Mediclaim policy is very beneficial for very old people. Comes with a policy term of 1 year and individual can renew it till the age of 90. Under this policy, the charges for medicine, ambulances, blood, various other diagnostic services are covered. Please note, here they cover medicines also, here they cover diagnostic services also. Yeah, and it's designed for people between 60 and 80. And under this, we have income tax benefits under 80. Varishta Pension Bima Yojana, LIC India is authorized to operate this scheme. No medical checkups. You can also avail tax exemption under this scheme. And there's a lock-in period of 15 days. Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, introduced by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, belonging to vulnerable and poor families. Coverage of up to 5 lakhs is offered for tertiary and secondary treatment. This scheme has strengthened the nation's healthcare service. This cover also includes both pre-hospitalization and post-hospitalization. Other than this, coverage for all pre-existing conditions will be offered to the policyholder from the insurance issuance of the policy. Please note, pre-existing conditions are allowed. On Senior Citizens Welfare Fund, government has introduced this. The scheme is administered by Ministry of Social Justice. It was introduced to provide an adequate fund for those who do not have any means to sustain themselves. To provide financial assistance and old age pensions to senior citizens. And one more thing, promoting silver economy. They are given open invitation on the portal, namely Senior Care. You can go through the Senior Care Aging Growth Engine, through which entrepreneurs are encouraged to think about the problems of the elderly and come out with innovative solutions. Under this scheme, an amount up to 1 crore as financial assistance is provided. The elder line, helpline for senior citizens, you call 14567 and to generate awareness about the maintenance and welfare of parents and Senior Citizens Act. This is one of the main issues today, where children, after being taken care of by parents for so many years, once they reach a big position, they forget the parents. The elder line functions from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. all 7 days of the week. So with that, I would like to stop and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Sir, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, sir.
Sir, it is quite a welcome step that lot of investment and increased interest rate opportunities are given to senior citizens.
Yeah.
For instance, this senior citizen savings scheme, increasing the limit from 15 to 30 lakhs is a welcome step. But what is missing is, in when you, as an incentive to saving, the 6A deduction, which is still kept from all savings instruments as 1.5 lakhs only, that should also be correspondingly increased. Otherwise, you really don't get the additional benefit which we were getting or which we are getting so far. Thank you.
I agree with you, sir. In income tax also, there is some concession for people above 75 and 80. And this 1.5 lakh, I totally agree with you. Everybody is expecting that it should be increased to 3 lakhs. Because the PPF, ATC, everything comes under that. So they thought that it will motivate people to save more. But somehow that does not happen. I agree with you. But this is, sir, this is not taxable, no? 30 lakhs, 8%. Is it
No,
taxable?
no, yes, yes. The
Huh?
income from investment is taxable.
That is your interest.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, taxable.
yes.
That is taxable. So one thing I want to know, this interest on saving bank and FD, earlier it was 50,000 concession was there. But now there is nothing in the budget, whether they have withdrawn it or they are going to continue it.
It's not 50,000, sir. Savings bank account for seniors, no?
For seniors.
50,000 it is not exemption. You can, suppose if you are within the taxable limit, you are not being taxed, that 50,000 will not be taxed.
No,
And for others who are filing tax, 10,000 is allowed. Savings
no,
bank
but for
interest,
FD
10,000
it
is
was
allowed for
50,000.
everybody. That
The
is not allowed for seniors.
total interest on FD and saving bank, it was 50,000 earlier. I mean
No.
last year. So whether it is continuing or they have withdrawn it.
No, that is a different deposit scheme by banks. What you are saying is different deposit by scheme by bank. That is continuing. On SB account, 10,000 is allowed for everybody.
Okay, but
On SB account interest, all of us can deduct 10,000. The one you are saying, that is every bank operates a separate senior citizen account. So there, I think the limit is regarding the investment, not interest rate.
because senior citizen scheme, they are exempting
50,000
20
is the
lakhs,
big
it's all right. But next year onwards, the interest on it, it is
No,
taxable.
50,000 is very big, sir. They will not allow. It will be limit on the investment. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Can I ask one question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Hello, can I ask one question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
N.K. Agarwal here.
Yeah.
The tax exemption rate has been raised to 7 lakhs under 87A. Now, my question was that at what stage do you have to inform the tax deductor in case of where the tax is directly deducted at source to change over either to the old scheme or to the new scheme?
Sir, I was just looking at some calculation, the chartered accountant. I don't know. And many of them are saying that the old scheme is better. I don't know. You can check with your chartered accountant.
No, but what I'm asking is, at what stage do you have to inform the choice?
When you are filing, ITR filing.
At the time of filing, is it?
Yes, yes. Before that, how can you?
Okay. Now,
At the time of
ATC
filing,
ATC limit is still maintained only at 1.5 lakhs in the old scheme?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Only thing on this 7 lakh,
So
many of your rebates are going
up? 7 lakhs, most of us will be excluded anyway.
Rebates, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Myself, R.K. Modi.
Yeah.
On senior citizen saving scheme, now the interest rate is perhaps 8%.
Yeah.
Will it will attract the same if I have done this senior citizen saving scheme earlier, or the earlier rate will continue in that scheme?
Sir, as I told you, the rate will be depending on when you are investing. If you invested now at 8%, I think that 8% is likely to continue. Of course, there was some talk where they are saying it will be related to repo rate and all that. 50 basis points difference between repo rate, that is still not very clear. Suppose repo rate, now what they are saying, repo rate will come down by 100 basis points.
It means those who have invested in this senior citizen savings scheme earlier, getting 7.5 or 7.4 interest. So that will continue.
Yeah,
In
sir,
that.
the best is I
It
tell
will
you,
not, the interest rate will not be revised in that.
otherwise you can put an HDFC bank, no?
No,
5 years
okay.
you put, it will never change.
No,
and
that is some alternate to
that
get
is-
out
that
of
is-
that.
That is the second largest bank in India,
Yeah.
HDFC Bank.
That is correct.
Yeah,
Now
I believe,
one more.
sir, I
Sir,
saw Punjab
sir.
National Bank, I saw 9%. I don't
Sir,
know.
One more thing I will ask. I want to
Sir.
know,
Yes, sir.
senior citizen saving scheme, premature withdrawal is there. If I withdraw prematurely, can I again invest it?
Yeah.
Because withdrawal on reduced interest and then withdrawing
want to
and
know.
then putting in again senior citizen savings scheme at
Sir,
8%.
I
Will
have
it be allowed?
I have not invested, but tell me, bank and all, if you are withdrawing the deposit, then they put a penalty of 1%. Is it applicable in post office? I am not aware.
No, yes, there is if premature
If you
withdrawal
withdraw
from
before,
SCSS, there
you
is
have to
a
pay one-
penalty clause.
Oh, then it is not worth, sir. Just to keep it as
Mr.
it is.
Modi,
Yeah,
Mr. Modi,
yeah.
can I tell you something? See, as per the norms laid by senior citizen scheme, once you invest, you cannot withdraw, first of all, till the tenure of 5 years. Secondly, you cannot withdraw and
No.
again reinvest for the
I don't agree. There is provision on certain conditions
on
for
certain
premature
conditions.
withdrawal also with
Yes.
penalty.
On certain conditions, you can.
Yeah,
But there is no change in the. I mean, suppose if the investment amount is at 7.4%. Now, if the government declares 8%, or if they reduce the rate of interest, there will not be change in the amount which has been invested. But for new investment, the new rate would be applicable, whether it is lower or the higher.
Yeah,
Am I right,
thank
sir?
you.
yeah. See, any investment, no, there is always a condition under which you can withdraw. Any investment, that is possible. So that is what sir is saying.
So now, are they
Sir.
going to increase by 8%? They are coming to
8% is a good rate.
good rate, and now they have increased the limit also from 15 to 30.
Yeah, that is what I was telling you, no? So
Yes.
what will happen is that every month you can earn 20,000.
Every month.
Every month, yeah, 30 lakhs.
Yeah.
So the 2,40,000. Every quarter they are going to pay you interest.
Okay. Yeah.
So which means 60,000 you will get every 3 months.
Correct.
And you get 20,000 per month. And
Very good.
I told you Tamil Nadu Power Finance, they pay you every month 8.75%.
Now in this they deduct the tax, the TDS
Yeah.
when they.
No, you have to declare. If you send a declaration, don't deduct, they will not deduct.
Yes,
But
sir.
in my
I have
case,
done. I have
actually-
done this. If you give declaration, they will not deduct at source.
Okay. So we have to give declaration to our bank.
Yes.
No, not
Wherever,
bank.
sir, wherever you
That
make
Power
investment-
Finance Corporation, you have to give to them. There is a certain format. You go through it.
Okay.
They will accept it, and they will not deduct.
No, I'm especially asking about senior citizen SC, ST's scheme.
Yeah. All have to declare.
Okay, we can give declaration on even to them.
Yes.
So they will not deduct the tax.
If you give the declaration, they will not deduct.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, you were mentioning about 8.5% given by HDFC, but I think that is limited to certain, quarters only. Earlier it was till 31st March. Beyond that, whether they are going to extend it is not known.
Sir,
In fact, every quarter they have been extending the limit. Otherwise, they were saying that up to 31st October, 31st December, that is what they have been saying. It's not. It doesn't appear to be a permanent scheme of 8.5% for all investments up to 5 years. I am
sir,
not sure, but you can clarify, sir.
no. Any scheme which comes, as far as that scheme is there, only you can invest. Now if they are saying 8.5, if you invest now for 5 years, let us say, for 5 years that 8.5 will remain the same. It will not change.
Okay.
Suppose let us say from April, now RBI governor is saying interest rate will come down. I don't believe so. He says it will come down. So in fact, earlier all public sector banks are giving higher rate, but in the last 1 month, all private sector banks are paying a higher rate. But I was reading somewhere Punjab National Bank is giving some 9%. I'm not aware. One of you can check. I'm not a account holder there. They are saying 9%.
Sir, I
Punjab
don't
National
think
Bank,
so.
Punjab National Bank is giving 8% to senior citizens for 666 days. That's one specific
Yes.
provision by Punjab National Bank.
Oh, that is the maximum. Yeah.
That is for all banks who are giving this senior citizens rate, higher rate. There are restrictions on the period. Some say 60 days, some say for 500 days, something like that. You cannot do it for 10 years, for
So
15 years. No.
There are also government schemes wherein I think there is a registry is there. If you're all experts, let us say there is a finance expert, there is an archaeological expert, you can go and register. Now the government says that they would like to avail the services of seniors and skilled people. So if you register, there is also a scope that they might call you for assignment. That facility is there.
If there is no other question, I think so Kannan, I think it was a good, insightful, interactive session. And I think many of us were interested, not in the budget, but our interest and rate of return, etc. Because that is what will interest us more. So thank you very much, Kannan, for taking your time and sharing your insight with us. Thanks a lot. Look forward to support in future also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
My only regret was I am not visible.
Hare Krishna.
You can send your photo. We'll upload it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
A very good session, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.